إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. طيب, we spoke about Salah, definition of Salah, and we spoke about the ruling of the one who doesn't pray. So we gave two opinions. One group says a person who doesn't pray is out of all of Islam. One group says he's not a kafir, still a Muslim. So do you remember any evidence that group of scholars who said that if someone doesn't pray he's still Muslim?
Sheikh Al-Albani, he said that he brought some narrations. He said one of the men in the hellfire, he never done any good deed, no good deed, and then Allah took him out of the hellfire, put him in the Jannah.
That's one of the evidence, yeah. Another any evidence, do you know, that he's still a Muslim if he doesn't pray?
If he misses, like after, if he leaves the salah with intention, but like that was like once, I think.
No, we're not talking about numbers of time he's living. The hadith proof to say that someone doesn't pray is still a Muslim.
The Prophet ﷺ was on a journey. I can't remember which Sahaba he was with, but he said as long as he says Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and believes in the messenger, believes Isa alayhi salam is the spirit of Allah, the kalam of Allah brought into Mary, and as long as he believes that, Allah will enter him into Jannah.
Whatever action he does. Okay, that's many other evidences. Hadith when Prophet said to Mu'adh, إن الله حرم على من يشهد أن لا إله إلا وأنا محمد رسول الله قد حرم الله عليه النار. That whoever testifies لا إله إلا محمد رسول الله, that Allah has made Jahannam haram for that person. Also hadith, whoever last word is لا إله إلا will enter Jannah. طيب, many evidence. Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha, one person said that, you know, the book of the record, the three types. One is that Allah doesn't forgive, the shirk billah azza wa jal. One is that Allah overlooks. He's the one who leaves the salah and leaves the fasting, and He forgives them, He wants to forgive them. And the one who, the third type of the record or the book is that Allah will not leave that, He will take reckoning of that. Is the one oppressing another Muslims. One oppressing another. So shows that if he doesn't pray, they use the hadith, he's still a Muslim. So many evidences. طيب. And the one who says, no, he's kafir, what are the evidences they use?
The ijma' as-sahaba that they didn't consider anything kufr except for
leaving it except salah. طيب, that's one of the athar of Abdullah bin Shaqiq. But hadith, someone doesn't pray, is kafir. What's the hadith? Jabir, farq bayna al-rajul wa shirk tark as-salah. The difference between man and a kufr is to leave the salah. Also we have a hadith, the agreement between us and them is salah, and whoever leaves salah is disbelieved. Okay, there are many evidences. And this is one of the scary one. Abdullah bin Amr bin As, do you remember the hadith that Allah, khamsa salawat, Allah made fard upon us, and that if he prays 5 salawat, Allah preserve him, protect him, and he has success in dunya and akhirah. But if he leaves the salah, he has none of that, and he will be raised Yawm al-Qiyamah in front of who?
with
Fir'aun, Haman, Qarun, and Ibn Abi Khalaf. The mushrik, Prophet killed him. So, hadith we know that Allah fast 5 গণমাস প্রথম দিনও যে হেফাজত করব, যে পড়ব এটা তার লাগি নাজাত আছে, সাকসেস আছে, ভিক্টরি আছে, জয় আছে, তার লাগি নূর আছে। বাট যে পড়ে না, যে হেফাজত করে না, হি খামসা সালাওয়াত 5 নমাজ,
হামান ফেরাউন কারণের সাথে
যে আল্লাহ কিয়ামত তারে ফেরাউনের সামনে, কারুনের সামনে, আর হামানের সামনে, ইবনে উবাই খালাফ তারার সামনে খারইব হাসরের সময়, তারা লগে এটা তো হে মুসলিম নাই। Kallagi hadith mention why did Prophet mention these 4 people? Because the head of the kuffar. He told her kuffar head, mushrik, the kuffar. as Ibn Qayyim says, okay, which is true. So, another hadith, man taraka salah muta'ammid, fala tatruku salah muta'ammidan, man tarakaha faqad kharaj min al-millah. Then do not leave salah intentionally, but whoever leaves it has left the fold of Islam. Millah, he has gone out of the fold of Islam. So many evidences are there for them to say someone doesn't pray, he is kafir. Tayyib. So this is a big debate among the ulama. The fact they are debated, they wrote book for and against, shows that the danger of it, the importance of preserving the salah. Tayyib. How do we know it is a consensus of the Sahabas? And this consensus we are talking about now, we start the class, is that there is this called ijma' sukutiyya, meaning that it's a consensus which is silent, meaning that no Sahaba disagreed with that. So Sahaba said it, nobody disagreed, they accepted it. So it's consensus. Okay? Normally if it goes anything against the Sharia of Allah, they will disagree, but there's no disagreement here. Okay? That's why Ibn Hazm says, among the Sahabas, leaving Salah is consensus. There's no disagreement on that. Tayyib. Where is the evidence for that? Ijma'. Okay? Ijma' is that Prophet Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was stabbed in the masjid after Salah. Okay? Abu Lu'lu. Abu Lu'lu was a fire worshipper. Okay? He was assassinated. After that, he was beheaded for killing Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. Sometimes he committed suicide. Umar radiallahu anhu was shaheed because of that. Okay, he killed Umar because he's a Muslim. But after 3 days of the stab, Umar passed away. So when he got stabbed, they took him to the house. Okay, and he became unconscious. Okay, then the conscience came back. This is what he said. He said, "Have you prayed?" to the companion. Okay, and they said, "Yeah, people have prayed." And the Umar bin Khattab said, after that, he said, "La Islam liman la salalah." Okay, or "La Islam liman taraka salah." Okay, "La Islam." There is no Islam for the one who abandoned the salah. Okay, another narration said, "La hadda fil Islam liman taraka salah." Okay, there is no share for a person to have in Islam, the one who leaves the salah. So that shows that person is not Muslim. So when you say La Islama liman taraka salah, there is no Islam for the one who abandoned the salah. There is no Islam for him. Meaning he's a kafir. La Islam. He has no Islam. He's kafir. So Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he believed that someone doesn't pray is kafir. Now we're going to give you some of the Sahabas. Tayyib. So how do we know this is consensus of the Sahabas? Because when he said that, no Sahabas disagreed with this. No, everyone remained silent. No one said, "Oh, Umar, nah, you made mistake. We don't agree with the Prophet didn't say that." Or kada kada kada. No. Everyone remained silent and everyone accepted what Umar said. That's why it's called ijma'. فقال هذا بمختصر من الصحابة ولم ينكروا عليه وقد تقدم مثل ذلك. Okay, so he said that. He said this in summary regarding this. He said this. The Sahaba, none of them made inkar on that. No Sahabas made inkar on that. Meaning they accepted it. And Umar believed that Ali, Mu'adh, Abdullah bin Auf, Abu Hurairah, Anas, Abu Darda, Bara bin Azib, they all believe someone doesn't pray is kafir. Ibn Masud, Ibn Abbas, okay? Someone doesn't pray is kafir. And after them is Imam Ahmed, Ishaq ibn Rahawai, Abdullah Mubarak, Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, Ibn Abi Shayba, they all believe someone doesn't pray is kafir. Okay? So that's how ijma' of the companion is. That when Umar made the statement, La Islama liman taraka salah, there is no Islam for the one who abandoned the salah, meaning he's kafir. Okay? No Sahaba disagreed with that. That's called ijma' sukutiyya. It's consensus based on silent. They accepted it, what he said. Because silent is approval. Is approval. Yeah. If Umar made mistake, they would have object to that. But none of them objected it. They remained silent. طيب. Now, some of the group of scholars, they say that leaving salah doesn't take out of all of Islam. Okay? The fact Prophet mentioned the word kufr, he mentioned the word kufr, فرق بين الرجل والكفر ترك الصلاة. The difference between the man and the kufr is ترك الصلاة. Okay? In the Quran, they say that in the Quran, Allah mentions kufr, many ayah in the Quran, but not all the time mean kufr, major kufr. And we need to know this. For example, Allah said, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Whoever doesn't rule by what Allah has revealed, he's a kafir. This kufr here is minor kufr. Kufr, duna kufr, lesser kufr. When Tawus said, Ibn Abbas was asked about this, he said, هو كفر ليس ككفر بالله وملائكة وكتبه ورسله. It is a kufr, but it's not kufr disbelief in Allah, in His angels, His books, in the Prophet. It's not same level as that, but it is a kufr, lesser kufr. Okay? Another nation says kufr لا ينقل عن الملة. Ibn Abbas says, Tawus said that it is a disbelief, but does not take out the full of Islam. Yani ruling by other than what Allah has revealed. Okay? For someone who rules by other than what Allah has revealed, either he is a kafir, fasik, or zalim, or oppressor. So these type of characteristics are mentioned, one who doesn't rule by what Allah has revealed. Okay? And for someone to be a kafir, there are conditions for him to be kafir, who doesn't rule by what Allah has revealed. Or someone is zalim or fasik, there are conditions. Okay? Generally, this word kufr is minor kufr. طيب? We have other verses like some verses where kufr is mentioned is major kufr. Like قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, or to the disbelievers. This is major kufr. In the Quran, Allah said, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَ. Indeed, those who disbelieve that Allah is one of the third. Okay? Indeed, Allah is one of the third. This kufr is major kufr, to make Allah one of the third. Yadu billah. We have hadith where Prophet mentioned the word kufr, but it's not a kufr that takes out the whole of Islam. See, the argument is now. Okay? So, hadith says, Sibab al-Muslim fusuq qitalu kufr. To curse your brother is a fusuq, is a sin. But to fight your brother is kufr. This kufr, doesn't take him out of the whole of Islam. If your two brothers were to argue, yeah, and they end up punching each other, Muslim brothers, they start hitting each other, that's a kufr. Prophet said kufr, qitaluhu kufr, fighting your brother is kufr. You punch him on his face, he punched you on your face, and there was some big punching going on. Okay, that doesn't mean both brothers are kuffar. This kufr is major kufr, or major sin, kabira min kaba'ir dhunub. That's what it is. You can't say they're kuffar. Okay, so this kufr is minor kufr, meaning it's major sin basically. Man halafa bi ghayri Allah faqad kafara. That whoever swear by other than Allah Azza wa Jalla has disbelieved. Okay, but this kufr is minor kufr. Okay, we have a hadith isnatan fi ummati bihima kufr. Okay, الطعن في الأنساب والنياحة على الميت. Look, Prophet said these two are kufr in my ummah. Okay, to curse the lineage, granddad and those before them, you're cursing them, it's kufr. And wailing over the dead is kufr. Prophet said kufr. But do we say now, if a Muslim wailing over the body now, Muslim brother wailing over his dad body, he passed away, wailing, not crying, shedding tears, nothing wrong with that, wailing, screaming, can we say it's kafir? Because Prophet says kufr? No, it means major sin. Here means major sin. So remember something, that we should remember that when the word kufr is mentioned in the Quran, Sunnah, doesn't mean it's major kufr. Doesn't mean it's kafir. La. We have to assess this, diagnose it. Not every kufr is major kufr. Like Prophet described here, wailing over the dead, fighting a brother is kufr, but it's major sin. It's major sin. But sometimes mean major kufr. We gave you some of the verses. Also, Allah Azza wa Jalla, Prophet ﷺ nullified iman for the one who fornicates. لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن. The one who commits zina at the time is not a mu'min. Prophet denying the iman. What is he denying? Denying the kamal of the iman. He's his iman is not perfect for him to fall into the act. But the hadith, he comes back when he makes tawbah. Tayyib, at the time of Prophet ﷺ, there were two incidents where Sahaba committed zina. Okay? Allah didn't reveal the verse and say, these two are kuffar. He didn't. He could have. Rasulullah was alive. Prophet, this Sahabiya radiallahu anha, we still say radiallahu anha, even though she committed the act, she was stoned to death. Prophet paid her janazah. If Prophet paid her janazah, why is she the Muslimah? Because she's Muslimah. Prophet paid janazah. Subhanallah. So negating the iman here doesn't mean negating iman from the one who fornicates, one who drinks alcohol, okay, one who steals. Prophet denies the iman, but this denial of iman is denial of the kamal of it, the perfection of it, not the authenticity of it, meaning the basis of iman is gone. La. Ibn Taymiyyah is fasiq because the major sin is committed. Okay? Also, Prophet said, La imana liman la amana lah. Prophet said, La imana. There's no iman for those who doesn't have loyalty, trust. You give him trust to fulfill, he breaks the trust. La imana, you have no iman. That's true. Does he is kafir now? Does it mean he's kafir? La. Meaning his iman is weak. Can you imagine? Can you see that? So we have to understand this kufr here is major sins. Akud Ahl Sunnah, none of them disagree with that. Okay? So those ulama, they bring the argument from Quran and Sunnah to establish their proof to say someone doesn't pray is still a Muslim. So the bayna rajul wal kufr tarku salah. The difference between man and kufr is to abandon the salah, Jabir. So this, the kufr here means major sin, no doubt, it's major sin. Even the Prophet mentioned the kufr here, the Prophet mentioned the kufr, fighting your brother is kufr. Okay? So that's how they're coming from the angle. But kitaluhu kufr without definite. The other one is with definite, al-kufr. That's the argument they bring as well. Grammatical rule they bring. Okay, but these ulama, they did not see that, they see it, saw it as well. Okay, tayyib. Now, that's the argument, they come from that argument. Okay, so let's go into a bit more, inshallah. Here we're going to discuss, inshallah, the issue about these two groups of scholars who says someone doesn't pray, is kafir, someone says, no, he's still a Muslim. Okay, even though he doesn't pray. Ibn Qayyim talks about, he goes, that for someone to understand this mas'ala, in reality, iman and kufr, okay, this mas'ala, issue about leaving the salah, the Muslim or the kafir, you have to understand the iman and kufr. What does iman and kufr mean? Because they go opposite to each other. Iman, opposite of kufr, kufr is opposite of al-iman. Tayyib. So iman, okay, in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, he says that الإيمان بدع وسبعون شعبة في رواية ثلاثة سبعون different narrations 70 branches of إيمان فأفضلها وفي رواية أعلاها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدنى إماتة الأعداء عن الطريق وحياء من شعبة الإيمان Sahih Muslim that Iman has 70 branches. The best or the highest is to say La ilaha illallah, and the lowest is to remove something from the road, and Haya is from the Iman. That's the definition of Iman based on this hadith. Because Iman, statement, action, okay, belief, statement, action. Okay, that's what Iman is. So, Iman has different levels. Okay, 70 branches. So, Shahada la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, praying, giving zakat, hajj, okay, reading Quran, dhikr, okay, jihad, okay, reading Quran, you know, all and so forth and so on, enjoying and forbidding evil, all part of Iman, okay, and all part of Iman, and living of these act different rulings. There are different rulings. Now, Prophet Imam Ahmad said, Al-Iman qawlun wa amal. Iman is statement and action. Okay? So, the ulama says that there's certain actions that if you leave, jinsul amal, if you leave, you're still a believer. Okay? As long as you have iman in the heart and you practice your deen, but certain action you've left doesn't take out of all of Islam. Okay? So for example, a Muslim brother practicing, he left imatatul adha anit tariq. He left removing harm from the road. Which is part of iman, yes or no? Is it part of iman? Yes. But he left that. Is he kafir now? No, he hasn't. So he left something, part of iman, which is removing harm from the road. But he's still a believer. So we say, we can say kamal of iman is been removed from him, from the perfection of iman. If you remove something from the road, it's part of iman. Okay. Sometimes you might have less haya and you might do something wrong. Doesn't mean he's not a Muslim anymore. He's still a Muslim. Okay. طيب. So Imam Ahmad said, iman qawlun wa amal. Okay. Iman is statement and action. That's what the iman is. Now, ulama says that statement are two types. Statement of the tongue and statement of the heart. And action of the heart and action of the limbs. That's how we break down Imam Ahmad's statement. Someone say, what is the belief then? But when we say belief is including that. Okay? So statement, when you believe something, that's a statement of the heart. طيب. That action of the heart, that if you leave it, you can nullify authenticity of your iman. Something like tawakkul, raja, or mahabba, hope, love, trust. These are sihatul iman. These are the action of the heart that makes the iman complete, acceptable. If you don't have that, that can affect your iman. Like tasdeeq, belief in the heart, which is the statement of the heart. If you don't have the belief, doesn't matter what action you do, you can accept it. So certain action in Islam, okay, if you leave it, that can nullify iman. Okay? Certain action, if you leave it, your iman still there. But they're part of iman. طيب. So the mushrik of the Quraysh, they believed in Allah Azza wa Jal. They believed in Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Believe in Akhirah. Okay? But they did not do inqiyad. They did not have love of Allah. They did not worship Allah Azza wa Jal. But that's because they believed it, that doesn't make them believers. That doesn't make them, they're going to be Ahlul Jannah. See, they have left something. Their belief is there. But the action wasn't there. The inqiyad, obeying Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they didn't have that. So some of the action of the heart wasn't there. Did not believe. They did not benefit them. Iblis, la'natullah alayhi, Fir'aun, Yahud, some of the Yahud, the Mushrikun, they believed in Allah Azza wa Jal. But their belief did not save them from the hellfire. Okay? So sometimes you can have a belief, but other action doesn't revolve around the belief, it doesn't make you Muslim. Okay? So, now, when we talk about iman, qawliya and fi'liya. There's certain thing related to iman which is qawliya and fi'liya. Okay? So is the kufr which is qawliya and fi'liya. This belief that relates to statement and action. So iman, statement and action. So for example, there are statement which is part of iman. To testify la ilaha illallah. Part of the iman. And if you were to take that away, then your iman won't be accepted. Amaliya, there's certain action you have to have to be a believer. Okay, action of the heart and action of the limbs. Love of Allah, hope of Allah. Okay, tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jal. You need to have these, the ulama says, for iman to be established. Certain things if you don't have, action of the heart. For example, khawf, shartul kamal. If someone were to fear a group of people chasing him, he's still a Muslim. He's still a Muslim. طيب. So that's iman. So certain thing in iman you have to have. Certain thing in iman in action you need to have. Certain thing if you don't have, you're still a believer. Okay. Same thing for kufr. Kufr you have qawliya and fi'liya. Certain kufr statement that will take out the whole of Islam. Kufr statement, for example, cursing Allah and His Messenger, yadu billah. Certain statement that of Jahmiyyah, their statement will take out the whole of Islam. Tayyib, things like that. But certain statement will not take out the whole of Islam, but it's kufr. Like half bi ghayrillah, to swear by other Allah Azza wa Jal, or to say mashallah wa shi'. Man said to Prophet mashallah wa shi'. Whatever Allah will, then you will. That was the minor kufr. He didn't say you're a kafir. He said, qul mashallah thumma shi'. Say mashallah, then whatever you will. The thumma then mean is separating between the creation, Allah and the creation. Okay? So certain kufr you can make with statement, but he's still a believer. Okay? But certain thing will take out of all of Islam. To say, for example, Allah is everywhere. If someone says physically Allah is everywhere and believes it, that statement will take out of all of Islam. And the maqala, the statement of the Jahmiyyah. Okay? Quran being created, things like that. If someone says with knowledge and things like that, then this statement will take him out of all of Islam. Kufur fi'liya. You have kufur that is related to action. Not every kufur that relates to action take out of all of Islam. Okay? Kufur of action that will take out of all of Islam, like for example, making sajda to idols. Okay? Making istighatha to Prophet ﷺ, or idol, or Hassan Hussein, or Ali. These things will take out of all of Islam. These are kufur amaliya. Kufur that relate to actions, major kufur. Okay? The kufur that relate to action that will not take out of all of Islam. For an amulet. Wearing amulet is not major kufur, it's minor kufur. But it can lead to major kufur, depend on the belief that he has. For example, if he believes that amulet is the cure, will cure me in my heart, my illness, then it's major kufur. But if he says I'm wearing amulet as a mean, Allah is the curer, He'll cure me, but I'm just eating as a mean, then this is minor kufr. So certain kufr of action that will take out of all of Islam, certain kufr that relate to action will not take out of all of Islam. Okay? That's the reality of kufr. So we have kufr that relate to the belief, kufr relate to the tongue, kufr relate to the action. Disbelief that relate to the heart, disbelief that relate to the tongue, and disbelief that relate to the action. All of this kufr, some will take out of Islam, some will not take out of all of Islam. The example that I gave you. Yeah. Inshallah. Tayyib. Having said all that, Tayyib, so these are types of kufr. The reason I'm mentioning it is that it go back to salah. Salah, the word kufr mentioned in the salah, leaving salah is kufr. Some of them say it's minor kufr, because that's how it comes in the text. Okay? Like Prophet described, fighting your brother is kufr. It's like that. But having said all that, leaving salah is major sin, is worse than other major sins, like adultery, gambling, murder, drinking alcohol, worse than all that. طيب? Now, when the scholar took a kufr, disbelief, the word disbelief is to cover something. It's to cover something. Okay? Linguistically, it means to cover something. That's why the farmers are known as kuffar, because they cover the crops with the dust. So night covers the day. Okay? The sea covers what underneath. So anything that covers is called lughatan, linguistically, mean kufr. Kafara, to cover, satara. طيب? So a kafir in Islam is the one who covers the haqq with the falsehood. Okay, that's what it is. So the kuffar, those who deny Allah and His Messenger in Islam, they're kuffar because they covered the haqq with their disbelief. They covered it, the haqq. And the kufr is many different levels of kufr. Kufr, major kufr, minor kufr. Scholars have explained, and Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned in Riyaadh As Saaliheen, kufr anaw'an, kufr akbar, kufr asghar. Major and a minor kufr. Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned in Riyaadh As Saaliheen. Also he mentioned, the ulama have mentioned, kufr al-juhud, kufr i'rad, kufr inad, kufr istikbar. All these different types of kufr. Kufr al-juhud is the one who denied the haqq after knowing it. Like Fir'aun, Haman, Qarun, Ibn Abi Khalaf. Okay? Azar, Ibrahim Alayhi's father, they all did kufr of juhud. Okay, because they denied the kufr, they denied the haqq after knowledge came to them. Okay? What they knew, they denied what they knew. It's kufr of juhud. Kufr al-istikbar is kufr which is arrogant, which is Iblis did. Okay? So there are different type of kufr. Kufr of denying the blessing of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's minor kufr, by the way. Okay? Then you have kufr amaliya. Ibn Qayyim says, أما الكفر عمل فينقسم إلى ما يضاد الإيمان وإلى ما لا يضاد. Okay? So Ibn Qayyim says that the kufr that will nullify your iman, kufr action, kufr that is related to your action, that will deny your iman, like make you subject to idols and things like that. And there are kufr action, kufr disbelief that related to action that does not deny, that does not nullify the iman. So he gives example that nullifies the iman. فالسجود الصنم واستهانة بالمصحف والقتل النبي وسب الله ورسوله طيب يضاد الإيمان. So these things will nullify iman. To make sajda to idol, kufr related to the action. Mocking the Quran, killing the prophets, and cursing Allah and the Messenger. These things, the kufr action that will nullify iman. Then he gives example, things which will not nullify iman. Like hukum bi ghayri ma anzalallah. Ruling by other than what Allah has revealed. Because whoever judge other than what Allah has revealed with, either a kafir, fasiq or zalim. Allah said that. So when does they become a kafir? When does they become zalim? When does they become a fasiq? When does they become a disbeliever? When does they become an oppressor? When does they become a sinner? The condition for all of them.
Ibn Qayyim said that.
So he brings here now, he's giving an example. That's one. Secondly, living salah. So living salah, Ibn Qayyim says, kufr amaliya, but la yudadul iman. Okay? فهو من كفر عملية قطعة. He said, these are كفر عملية. Okay, definitely. ولا يمكن أن ينفى عنه اسم الكفر بعد أن أطلقه الله ورسوله. There's no possible to deny the word kufr related to these actions. Okay? After Allah and the Messenger called it kufr. Okay? It's not possible for you to deny their kufr because Allah and the Messenger described them as an act of kufr. Okay? Living salah is kufr. But he's not actually saying طيب. So we'll talk about this more inshallah next week. Jazakumullah khair. Yeah. So we'll take Q&A and we'll talk more about this. I'll be tomorrow. Next we'll do last lesson on this and then khalas. I was thinking that we should mention this to clarify certain part of kufr and iman and kufr. طيب إخوة. So any question inshallah? We'll take the question. Jazakumullah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. When it comes to the disbelievers, what's the ruling on someone saying that we shouldn't call them kuffar, just call them non-Muslims? Is that allowed?
What's the difference between non-Muslim and a kuffar? This is just a translation.
Yeah, because I think I've seen like some argue that don't call them kuffar because maybe some of them they don't know about Islam because you know the thing about it means to cover something because they never knew about it. But to me it doesn't make sense anyway because they were already born upon Islam and they left it, like went against the after.
I mean, in this country, I mean, it's a good question. I haven't read the answer, but it does make sense because in this country they all kuffar because non-Muslims they're kuffar because they've heard the haqq, they've heard the truth. They say it's a غير Muslim, non-Muslim, a kafir, meaning that someone who knowledge came to them and they denied it, then you call him a kafir. Non-Muslim, opposite to that. Knowledge never came to them, so you can't call them a kafir, they are non-Muslims. So I think they're referring to the people who never heard about Islam, okay? Living in Amazon, they never heard about Islam, they're non-Muslims. But if they're not Muslims, basically they haven't denied, the haqq never came to them, they don't be nothing to, they don't know what to believe. Haqq never came to them, so they can't call them kuffar. For the people who heard the haqq, who heard Islam, and they denied it, then they're kuffar. This I heard as well. To be honest, I don't know the answer, but I can tell you, if someone heard Islam, never accepted it, then they're kuffar, no doubt. But those who live in Amazon, never heard about Islam, can you call them a kafir? Allahu alam. Because kufr juhud is the one who denies after knowledge came to them, the Fir'aun and all of them. So people who live in Amazon, their hukm is different. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will not burn them to the hell. He will trial them, test them, and He will send a messenger. If they accept the messenger, then they'll go to Jannah. So their hukm is different. Maybe Allah, maybe that could be right. Allah knows best. Yeah. But in this country, where knowledge is predominantly everyone knows, then they're kuffar. Yeah, no doubt, they're kuffar.
Uncle was asking. He was talking about the Eid takbir. It's one after the salah. And the obligatory takbir, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, wallahu Akbar.
Takbirat.
Yeah, takbirat. He was saying that this one is a general one for the days of Nahar and Dhul Hijjah. And he brought another evidence saying that there's a different takbir, which is after salah.
I know.
Allahu Akbar kabira, Allahu Akbar kabira, Allahu Akbar ajal, Allahu Akbar walillahi alhamd. এটা হলো সহি ঈদের জন্য আর ওইটা হলো নরমাল দোয়ার জন্য কিন্তু ঈদ উপলক্ষে আমরা যেটা বলি এটা ওই তাকবীরটা না ওখানে তিনজন সাহাবী আছে দুর্বল সাহাবী
Ibn Abbas and Salman al-Farisi.
Takbirat on Eid, the general and specific. I think you gave it to me.
Yeah, I showed you Sheikh Aziz.
Yeah. So the general one is that when the Dhul Hijjah starts, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, you start the takbir. Okay? It's just a general one. The specific one is when the Yawm al-Arafah starts, okay, after Fajr until Eid and the 3 days of Tashriq, after Maghrib you finish it. And you say after every salawat.
He's saying it's different.
Yeah.
This one. So the one
Maybe
the general one everyone's doing,
yeah.
Is that agreed upon that it's okay?
Yeah.
No, because from what I know, like the ones that the uncle mentioned, that those were done by like Sahaba, Salman al-Farisi, Ibn Abbas.
Yeah.
The one that people do generally, that one is from Hadith, but obviously like we accept if Sahaba did one a certain way as well, right?
So it's allowed both of them.
Loud. Because this is loud because Umar bin Khattab, Ibn Umar, Abu Hurairah, they will say it loud, people will say with them. So you say it loudly, you go to the masjid, even the narrations, they will go to the street and they will make takbirat. And people will say with them as well.
Okay, so what, is that legislated for after the 5 salawat? That one?
Yeah, you say after 5 salawat as well.
So the ruling is, Itaw Sahih, so there is legislated for after 5 salawat.
Yeah.
So the Sahaba did that as well,
Yeah.
after 5 salawat. With regards to Ibn Abbas, was it Ibn Masud and Salman al-Farisi?
Yeah, Ibn Abbas, Salman al-Farisi. I don't know Ibn Masud.
So Al-Ajal.
Maybe the certain word are not mentioned weak. Certain word I mean weak, but the actual dua takbirat.
Allahu Akbar kabira, Allahu Akbar ajal, Allahu Akbar walillahi alhamd. চারটা শব্দ এখানে আল্লাহু আকবার কবীরা আল্লাহু আকবার কবীরা আল্লাহু আকবার আজল আল্লাহু আকবার ওয়ালিল্লাহিল হামদ এই চারটা শব্দ দিয়ে যেটা সেটা ইবনে আব্বাস থেকে বর্ণিত এবং এটা সহিহ আর আমরা আল্লাহু আকবার লা ইলাহা ইল্লাল্লাহ আল্লাহু আকবার ওয়ালিল্লাহিল হামদ এটা জয়ীফ হাদিস এই বলছে
You're saying it's weak?
Yeah, Allah, I don't know if it's that.
No, I don't know authenticity. This is because I've read about it. This is the takbirat we make. Takbirat.
So, the Fatwa Council, Ibn Uthaymeen,
Yeah.
Bas, whoever, what did they say regarding it? So this normal takbir, the mutlaq, the general one, is for after salah is what they said this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So Ibn Uthaymeen, Ibn Bas বলছেন এটা ঠিক আছে
আমি আপনাকে একটা লিংক পাঠাবো তো আপনি ওটা হাদিস নাম্বার দেয়া আছে ওখানে গিয়ে দেখেন উনি বেদাত বলতেছে যিনি এটার বিপক্ষে বলতেছে ও বাংলাদেশের দুজন আলেম বাংলাদেশ মতিউর মাদানী উনি বলতেছেন এটার পক্ষে এই যে আল্লাহু আকবার আমরা বলি আর আরেকজন ওনার নাম হলো মুয়াজ্জেম হোসেন সাইফি, বাংলাদেশের বিশিষ্ট আলেম আহলে হাদিসের। উনি এটা বলতেছেন যে ওখানে 3 জন রাবি আছে, 3 জনের মধ্যে 3 জনই জয়ীফ এবং 3 জনের মধ্যে একজনকে বুখারী সম্ভবত বলছেন যে জয়ীফুন কাজ্জাব, মানে মারাত্মক জয়ীফ।
Narrator in the chain.
So Mutir Rahman Madani. Yeah?
Mutir Madani বলছে
He was on Abdul Rahman Hassan's channel. Yeah.
Anyway, Allah. But I'll look into that. I'll tell you next week. But
Inshallah. You know, he was talking about the kufr and al-kufr. So when the kufr is mentioned,
major.
Is major. And when it's just kufr on its own,
Minor.
It's minor. But you know how we have like, if you do a minor sin long enough, it can become major sin. If you keep doing. So could that be the same with kufr as well? So, you know, if someone keeps committing minor kufr continuously, then they become major kufr.
Yeah. It can lead to the, accumulate to major,
What if, you know, couldn't that open the door for like takfir? You start saying that about some hukam.
That's what they say.
How would we go about with that? Because you give the analogy, if you do a minor sin persistently, it becomes major sin, right? So they'll say the same about minor kufr. What if they say, look, we can see there's minor kufr taking place in a certain dawla, so then they just make takfir on them, then how do you respond to that?
No, but the conditions are there. The conditions are there. Conditions are there. Kufr al-bawah, you know, if they make istihlal and things like that, there's a condition.
And then there's different for ruling with the general people and ruling what the ruler.
So, Okay, جزاكم الله خير. خلاص؟
سبحان الله.